Modern Gift Storm is back. We're playing the Past in Flames plus Gifts Ungiven strategy. My last two leagues were 5-0s. Can we do it again today? Let's find out. Today we're playing Modern Gift Storm, and it's all thanks to Blake Anderson, who wanted to see the deck again. 3 months ago, I went 5-0 undefeated with the release of Vivi or Nidier. And before that, I actually recorded another video roughly 6 months ago at this point where I went 5-0. So this will be the third league in a calendar year where I attempt to 5-0 with Modern Gift Storm. I know it's pretty crazy in the year 2025, but we're going to try to make it happen. So why am I playing this deck list? Well, you know, I'm 10-0 in my last matches, so that's part of the reason why. But one of the reasons I do think that this deck is competitive is that you have 6 answers in the main deck for hate permanents like Ottawa Soaring City, Flame of Anor, and then Sink into Stupor. 4 of these are built into your mana base, which makes the deck super resilient. But you also have that classic powerful strategy where you use Baral Chief of Compliance along with the newer printing of Rail Monsoon Mage to then play your Gifts Ungiven. In that last video, we did gain Vivi or Nidier as a third reducer. And by playing one Vivi or Nidier, you can Gifts Ungiven for a creature. So you can make a pile with Rail Monsoon Mage, Baral Chief of Compliance, and then the Vivi or Nidier. And then your fourth card could be a number of things between Past in Flames or a Wish or some other card. So the basic idea behind the deck, if you're unfamiliar, is that you would like to play a creature. After that, you want to play something like Desperate Ritual or Pyretic Ritual to make mana. And then after that, maybe Manamorphose for blue mana, and then play your Gifts Ungiven. Now you can build your stockpile, which consists of Desperate Ritual, Pyretic Ritual, Manamorphose, and Past in Flames. This allows you to replay the Gifts Ungiven for another 4 cards, where you can get Past in Flames, Pyretic Ritual, Desperate Ritual, and then the Grape Shot to kill the opponent. That is the idea. It's a deterministic win as long as you can have a creature in play and then 3 mana floating. That's the idea. 3 mana floating is the magic number for a deterministic win. Today we're playing Consider. This was a card that came up a lot in the comment section of those last videos. Why would you play Consider over Preordain? Well, we are a deck that's playing 3 main deck Spell Pierce. So this way I'm not tapping my land on turn 1 and then being punished by a Thoughtseize, or, you know, your opponent trying to win the game on turn 2, which can definitely happen in Modern. Neoform is a very popular deck. In sideboard games, we also have Flusterstorm and Into the Floodmaw. So being able to hold open Consider is actually very valuable, where tapping your mana for Preordain is very dangerous. So I think that Consider is actually better in this deck. Not to mention, putting those cards to the graveyard for Past in Flames is very valuable. So I do think that Consider is the right card for this deck. I mentioned those Spell Pierces. Those can counter Damping Spheres, Deafening Silence, Thoughtseize. So many cards that I think that makes this card very playable in this deck. You could try main deck Flusterstorm, but I like the Spell Pierce. So if you would like to switch that, feel free, but I believe that this configuration is correct. After that, we have Stock Up. This is a nice consistency card that helps you win without using the graveyard. Way back when, like 2018, this deck, this archetype, used to play Pieces of the Puzzle in the sideboard. Stock Up is just a better Pieces of the Puzzle, where you would look to chain Stock Ups and just not even use the Past in Flames in order to win. But that is mostly possible these days using the back half of Rail Monsoon Mage, Rail Leyline Prodigy with that ultimate ability. That is typically how you beat Graveyard Hate, by having the option of going Stock Up chaining is quite nice. And then right now, Surgical Extraction is really popular in Modern, so it's another reason to have the main deck Grape Shot. But on top of that, you do have Wish for the sideboard copy of Grape Shot, or Empty the Warrens, etc. There is the tertiary win condition of the Vivi or Nidier pinging your opponent for lethal. That can happen, but it's not probable. I will say that. So you have a bunch of Wish targets in your sideboard, like the 4th Gifts Ungiven, for example. 1 Surgical Extraction, because the Goryo's Vengeance deck currently is the most popular deck on MTG Goldfish. Blue Belcher just won the Pro Tour, so Vexing Bauble is a pretty good inclusion. And that's what I've got for now. So if you enjoyed the video, like, comment, subscribe, all that great stuff. Hopefully you enjoyed this slightly longer deck tech. Thank you again to Blake Anderson for submitting this donation deck. I really do appreciate your support. And hopefully we trophy again. I don't know if we will, but I hope we do. Stick around and find out if that's a reality. I'll see you in match number 1. Don't go anywhere. If you enjoyed this video, make sure to leave a like, comment, and subscribe. You can also show your support by becoming a member of this channel. You get sweet perks such as badges, emotes, early access to videos, exclusive members only content, and access to our members Discord section. As you increase the tiers, there are other rewards such as shop discounts, sideboard guides, and even free donation decks. Click the join button down below to find out more. We also have other ways you can support us, like theepicstorm.com/shop or submitting a donation deck via theepicstorm.com/donation decks. That's enough for now. Let's play some Magic. Welcome to match number 1 with Modern Gifts Storm. We are on the play. Double Past in Flames is not ideal, but we do have, a bunch of mana. I think that this is a mulligan. It's lands and spells, but it's not a hand with a coherent plan, so we're going to send it back. This is better. I think we keep, and I'm going to be a little greedy here. I'm going to get rid of the Otawara Soaring City. My plan is that I'll draw a land over the next 2 turns. We have double Surveil land here. Our opponent plays an Urza's Saga. That was the fear. I didn't open up on a cost reducer. Let's see if I can find one. We'll play Thundering Falls. Hopefully we find a Rail Monsoon Mage. Am I supposed to keep that? I don't know now. I think you're probably supposed to get rid of it. Okay, we're looking for that creature. Sink in a Stupor. We'll play the Scalding Tarn and pass. Urza's Saga goes to the second chapter. It is a reality that I'm dead next turn. They play the Gruul Turf, so they have the green Karoo land. So they have all the mana they need. A Boreal Grazer. Okay. They put in Vesuva. This will copy the Urza's Saga. Okay. And now they make a Construct token. Okay. We'll grab another Thundering Falls. Get rid of Consider. We draw Wish. I cannot win if I just keep on passing, so the best thing I can do here is just hope that our opponent doesn't have it. So we'll play Stock Up. We'll take Pyretic Ritual and the land. Alright, please don't kill me. There's a Saga. So one goes to the second chapter, the other goes to the third. They grab Amulet of Vigor. And now the land will untap twice. So they do have all the mana they need to play Primeval Titan here. And they have it. Okay. We are very much dead, but I'm going to at least see if they know how to do it. They grabbed Simic Growth Chamber and Crumbling Vestige. So this will make them a bunch of mana. A Boreal Grazer. Puts in the Mirror Pool. And now they can copy the Primeval Titan. Okay. And now they probably grab the Lotus Field. Or they might grab another Simic Growth Chamber and then the Teleria West. Because that allows them to, well, they're not doing that apparently, but it would allow them to return the Teleria West, make a bunch of blue mana, and then go get the, what is the creature called? Aftermath Analyst to return the Mirror Pool. But maybe I'm a step ahead of what I should be doing, and then our opponent's doing the correct thing here. They give their Primeval Titan haste. Did they mess up? I doubt it. They attack for 9. I believe they could still cobble together a win even though they wasted 6 mana there. They grabbed Teleria West and the Simic Growth Chamber. Okay. Well, they have that mana inside of combat. So they can... wait, transmutes the sorcery speed ability? Yeah, I think our opponent messed up. Okay, so maybe I was right after all. But do we draw the creature? We did! Wow. Okay, we might be getting a win I don't deserve here. Pyretic Ritual. Desper Ritual. Alright, so I have the Gifts Ungiven in the sideboard for the Wish. So Wish will cost 2, and that will bring us down to 3 mana. And then the Gifts Ungiven would have 1 mana floating. So it's not actually deterministic, but I could play the Past in Flames now to make a couple mana. So that gives me 7 mana. Wish would bring me down to 4. Gifts Ungiven would be floating 2. That's not deterministic either. I think I'm still supposed to go for the Gifts Ungiven here. So now I will Gifts Ungiven target you. Manamorphose. Pyretic Ritual. Desper Ritual. And then what is the other card? Do I want Rail Monsoon Mage? Trying to flip the Rail? Is that crazy? Because I don't have another piece of mana to get here, so... because I've already made my land drop. I guess forcing the Past in Flames to the hand makes it a little easier, so we probably just grab the other Past in Flames, because it is 1 less mana. They gave me double ritual. Okay. Hopefully they don't have like Summoner's Pact for Endurance. I don't think that they play Endurance in the main deck, but you never know. Now we just play some mana. Manamorphose. We'll make 2 blue here. Play the Wish from 15. I think I'd like to stock up from 16. We'll take Manamorphose and Monsoon Mage. We'll play the Manamorphose. Spell number 17. Red, blue. We'll play stock up. Spell number 18. Did not hit any mana. We'll take Consider and Gifts Ungiven. Play Consider from the graveyard to spell number 19. Bin the stock up. And then the Grape Shot out of the sideboard is exactly 20. Sweet. We did it. Our opponent done messed up. Okay, so Spell Pierce not as great in this matchup. Neither is Flusterstorm though, but I do like Into the Floodmaw to bounce their Primeval Titans. Spell Pierce could counter like a turn 1 Amulet, but not on the draw. I think I'd rather board out a Flame of Anor for the 4th Into the Floodmaw here. Let's try this out. Game number 2 on the draw, we keep these. We need a creature, but then this hand goes bananas. It looks like our opponent also kept 7. Turn 1 Urza Saga again. And Amulet of Vigor. Very strong beginning. We'll play Misty Rainforest and pass. Saga goes to the 2nd chapter. Shifting Woodland. And a Rumble. They hit Spelunking. And other lands. They might take the Simic Growth Chamber if they already don't have a Crew land. And I say Crew land based on the original cycle back in, I believe, Mirage. But these days, most people mean the like Ravnica block lands that tap for 2. And they chose Crumbling Vestige, which I did not predict. I think here I'm just going to play the Consider. I could Surveil, but Consider looks a little deeper. So we'll get rid of this stock up. And we drew land number 4, not good. We drew another land. I'll play Thundering Falls. Do I even keep that? I guess so. It doesn't feel very good to me. Maybe I'm supposed to just mulligan to a creature in this matchup. Maybe that's where I'm going wrong. Here we go. They're going for it. 8 mana in their mana pool, plus an Eldrazi Spawn in play. Green Sun Zenith for 2. They can grab the Aftermath Analyst. There it is. And they milled over another Lotus Field. And a Primeval Titan. We're super dead here. Okay. I've seen enough. We can go to the next one. I believe in our opponent's ability to win with nearly infinite mana. We can just go to game 3. I think I'd rather have a Spell Pierce over Flame of Anor when on the play. And maybe we'll do it over the VV or Nidier as well. You know what? I'll split it 3-3 with Into the Floodmaw. Let's try this. Here we go. Game 3. So we have the Reducer. And we have 5 lands. Am I supposed to really keep this? We have a Surveil. I don't know. I think you're supposed to mulligan. 5 lands is just too many. This is better. We'll keep bottom the 2nd copy of Monsoon Mage. We'll play the Scalding Tarn and pass. Urza Saga into Amulet for the 3rd game. Classic. Yep, every game. Alright, so our back is up against a wall. Let's see if we can make this work. Surveil. Get rid of that. Ooh, another land. We'll play our Steam Vents. Ouch. Monsoon Mage. I guess I have to tap red mana, huh? Pass the turn. Saga goes to the 2nd chapter. Crumbling Vestige. So this will untap and they get a mana of their choosing. They make green for a Rumble. Lotus Field or Echoing Deeps. I always want to say depths, but it's not depths. They chose the Lotus Field. Ghost Vacuum. Okay, so they have a turn 3 with Disruption. But I need to draw something good here. Ah, you gotta be kidding me. Another land? We are in trouble. We'll play the Scalding Tarn. And I believe I just have to pass here. They use the Ghost Vacuum, sure. There's a Saga. They grab another Amulet. They play a basic Forest. Spelunking, sure. We know that they have the Lotus Field in their hand. They play a Saga. Do you actually not have it? Wow, we're catching a break here. Alright, we do have the 2nd copy of Thundering Falls. Trigger. There we go. Okay. We'll play the Misty Rainforest and fetch. This is not a deterministic win because our opponent does have the Ghost Vacuum. Heretic Ritual. Trigger. We'll say Tails. No. Desperate Ritual. Tails. Gifts Ungiven target you. Storm is 3. We'll say Tails again. I would like Manamorphose. Past in Flames. I wonder if it's crazy to grab stock up here. Like, what if we did like Pyretic Ritual stock up? Because this way, if they exile the Gifts Ungiven, I'm not just flat out dead. We'll try this. Okay, so they exile or they put Past in Flames to the graveyard. So what we can do here is flashback the Past in Flames. And now with this on the stack, we can play Pyretic Ritual, trigger, Tails, no. Now Pyretic Ritual resolves, Manamorphose, Tails. We lose that flip. We'll make 2 blue mana here. Blue, blue. And now Rail triggers. So it's another opportunity to flip here to the Planeswalker half. We lost. Past in Flames. And they can exile either the Gifts Ungiven or the stock up. They exile the Gifts Ungiven. We'll play stock up. Play Tails. We win the flip. Maybe I was supposed to respond with all my rituals? I don't know. Yeah, we'll flip. Stock up. Past in Flames. Vesper Ritual. And now let's ultimate the Rail Leyline Prodigy. 7 spells, not bad. Let's play Pyretic Ritual for free. And now I can play the Rail Monsoon Mage. Pyretic Ritual. Pyretic Ritual. I can't splice for 1 mana, so maybe I was supposed to play the one for free from exile first, I'm not sure. I can Manamorphose here. Tails. We win the flip. I suppose we'll flip it. Now I have to pick one to keep. My board is becoming, you know, kind of crazy here. Too many boxes. And the opponent concedes the match. Okay. Well, we beat Amulet Titan. They had their best possible opening 3 games in a row, but we managed to squeak it out because we made them play it out in game number 1. And then in game 3, they just didn't have Primeval Titan, so yikes. But we got there. A match win is a match win. Let's get the next 4. Moxfield.com is the easiest way to build a Magic deck online. They support over 30 formats, including Legacy and many other Eternal formats. There are so many options to view decks the way that you want, from text view to individual cards, mana value, and even card price. There's also light mode and dark mode. My personal favorite feature is card tags. This way you can sort cards by function. Moxfield supports collection tracking, Scryfall search, decklist feedback, and so much more. Follow me on Moxfield.com so you can stay updated on all of my decks. For round number 2, we're on the draw. This hand seems fine to me. We will keep Blooded Strand, okay. I'll just play the Scalding Tarn and pass. This way I can hold open Spell Pierce, or I can get the other Thundering Falls. They fetch with Flooded Strand, or an Undercity Sewers. Basic Plane. So this is probably the Goyro's Vengeance deck. We'll grab Thundering Falls, keep the Ritual, play the Thundering Falls. I don't think I need a Rail Monsoon, or I'm sorry, a Baral Chief of Compliance here. And it is in fact the Goyro's Vengeance deck. They discard a Troxa and Goyro's Vengeance. What a hand. Okay. They play Polluted Delta. We draw Grape Shot. We'll play Scalding Tarn and pass. On the end step, they're going to attempt a Goyro's Vengeance. I will Spell Pierce. They do it on the end step because this way they can protect it with Force of Negation. And they guess they don't have it. Okay. They have 4 cards in their hand. They search out Meticulous Archive. Gets rid of a Force of Negation. They play a Marsh Flats. Quantum Riddler. They draw their card. And now the Ephemerate. Yep. You got it. We'll fetch. The Warp is not going to exile it, and they'll just end up with a large Sphinx in play. Another land. We'll play the Scalding Tarn. They have 4 cards in their hand. I think I'll just pass here. Now the Ephemerate, so they can choose to draw another card or just to begin the beatdown. It looks like they just want to start attacking. They play another land. 4 cards still in their hand. I'll go to 14. Another Quantum Riddler. They fetch with Marsh Flats. Thoughtseize. Okay. They take the Rail Monsoon Mage. And now another Ephemerate. I'll attempt to draw 2 with the Flame of Anor in response. We'll grab the final Steam Vents. I'll draw 2. Okay, the Ephemerate happens. They have 8 power on the board. We'll play our fetch land. I go to 12. Grab a basic. And cast the Consider. I think I like the stock up. We'll keep that. Let's play it. Ooh, so the Rail Monsoon Mage is interesting because I'll be at 4 life after their attack step. I think we definitely want the Past in Flames. I think you do take the Rail. I could be wrong, but I think it's worth it. Pass the turn. They surveil on Shadowy Backstreet. And they found a 3rd copy of Goryro's Vengeance. I'm dead. 3rd copy in their top 23 cards? Okay, they got me. Unfortunate. Okay, so we probably want the Surgical Extractions, the Fluster Storms. And then the question is, do you want Vexing Bauble? I'm not sure. The Vexing Bauble has some sort of like anti-synergy with their deck because the back half of Rail Monsoon Mage the ultimate, but you could always sacrifice the Vexing Bauble if you're at that point. And Vexing Bauble does shut off Surgical Extraction and Force of Negation out of this deck, so I am interested in this card, I believe. We don't need Flame of Anor. Probably don't need the VV. Or you can keep the VV and just get rid of Considers. I wonder if that's the move. Let's try this. Reasonable. We'll keep. Alright, they've kept 6 cards. We'll play Misty Rainforest and pass. I guess Vexing Bauble also shuts off Solitude, which is a card we do care about. We'll grab Thundering Falls. Keep the Rail Monsoon Mage. I think I'll play out the Brawl first, just as bait. Mystical Dispute. Okay, not really what I wanted to do there. Marsh Flats. And a Psychic Frog. Hopefully I get to untap with this Rail Monsoon Mage. We'll pass the turn. They have a Flooded Strand. They fetch 4 cards in their hand. No blocks. They draw a card up to 5 cards in hand. Please no Solitude. Celestial Purge. Okay. That's a feel bad. We'll pass. And now they have Teferi Time Railer to shut off my Fluster Storm. Things are not looking good. Okay. They surveil away a Marsh Flats with the Meticulous Archive. Another Brawl Chief of Compliance. Guess we'll play it. Pass the turn. They return the Brawl to my hand. They discard Gristlebrand. This game's over. Yep. Now they draw 7. They discard Atraxa. Now they'll reanimate the Atraxa. They had a very disruptive draw into a powerful mid-game. And now they'll swing for lethal. Looks like no trophy this time. But we did lose to the most popular deck according to MTG Goldfish, and you saw how broken these draws can be when the deck gets to do its thing. I feel like we sort of lost our opportunity in game number 1. We had a few draws that could have done it, but we didn't. So it happens. You know, losses are not the end of the world. Let's try to get the next 3. Looking to make playing your favorite combo deck much easier? Look no further than the Epic Storm Mini Combo Pack, which is available at theepicstorm.com/shop for $15.99. This token combo pack comes with 84 double-sided tokens featuring classic Storm and Mana tokens with new inclusions such as our modern Ruby Storm package, but that's not all. Our token pack covers a variety of formats from Pauper to CDH with new tokens. Stop on by theepicstorm.com/shop and make an easy decision to elevate your combo game. The third match on the draw, we have a hand that is capable of a turn 2 win, but I do have to find that second land. We're playing 19 lands today. I'm going to take the chance. We also get to search out the Thundering Falls to help us. Turn 1 Scalding Tarn for an island. Okay, we're facing the 8-cast deck. Mox Opal. Springleaf Drum. Good opener. Another Springleaf Drum. 2 cards remain. There's the land we wanted. We'll play Scalding Tarn and pass. Kappa Cannoneer. Okay. They're holding open the Mox Opal. They could have attacked for 1, but they choose to leave open the Mox Opal. So does that say like Galvanic Blast here? We'll grab Thundering Falls. Manamorphose. I mean, we want that. Play the Otawara Soaring City. I just took a quick peek at Goldfish. There's no main deck Galvanic Blast, so I think we're supposed to try to jam here. Unless our opponent isn't playing anything stock. So, Desperate Ritual, the Rail Monsoon Mage. We'll play another Desperate Ritual. Trigger. Say Tails. No. Another Desperate Ritual. Tails. No. Manamorphose. Tails. No. We'll make Red. Another Manamorphose. Tails. Blue. We have 7 available mana. I think I can play a Wish here. Tails. We lose that flip. I will now play Past in Flames. And I do have Flusterstorm back up now. We lose the flip. Desperate Ritual. Tails. Lose the flip. Alright, we'll pop out the graveyard because people like that. I mean, I don't, but people do, so we'll pop out the graveyard here. We'll say Tails. We win this flip. And I suppose I could put the graveyard down here with my hand. Okay, Desperate Ritual now resolves. We'll ultimate the Rail. Bunch of spells. We'll play a Rail from hand. And we'll extend this. Okay, I guess this is an interesting way of doing it, is covering up my hand with my Exile and Graveyard. Okay. We'll play Pyretic Ritual. Tails. Ouch. We'll play Pyretic Ritual. And then we'll respond with Manamorphose. And then we'll respond with Desperate Ritual. Respond with Manamorphose. Respond with Manamorphose. This way we get the cost reducing of these 3 spells from the rail before it flips. Play Tails. Ouch. Take a couple blue mana. Another attempt to flip. We failed. We'll make 2 red here. Tails again. We lose another flip. I'm at 11. Another opportunity here. We'll say Tails. Hey, we flip. How about that? We'll choose to keep the one with 17 loyalty. Make 2 blue. And now this trigger does not matter. Okay. So I guess I can play the Wish from Exile for free. Oh, I have a hand now. I forgot. Alright, so we drew 3 cards. Storm is 18. We'll play another Wish because I can. Storm 19. Storm 20 Grape Shot with double Flusterstorm backup. That is how we do. I have noticed a lot of modern Ruby Storm deck lists are playing like 2 to 3 copies of Meltdown just for this matchup. I don't know if you need to. That's my honest take. Like, I understand that Meltdown is a hammer that crushes a popular deck, but I just don't know if it's necessary. So if you have strong opinions on that, let me know. And we could play Meltdown in this deck. It would be over like the Vexing Baubles probably, because I think I like both Flusterstorm and Surgical Extraction. But the Meltdowns could be in the sideboard if you really, really want to crush this deck instead of just beating it normally. Looking at the sideboard of this deck, they have 3 Tormod's Crypt, a Grafdigger's Cage, and a bunch of copies of Consign to Memory, and then a couple copies of Galvanic Blast. So, Flusterstorm and Floodmaws are not the worst. We also do have 6 ways in the main deck of answering like Grafdigger's Cage or Tormod's Crypt between Sink into Stupor, Otawara, and Flame of Anor. I think here I might just want the Flusterstorms. And we'll shave on Vivi and maybe like 1 Consider. We'll try this. Game number 2. I think this hand's okay. Like, I'm not crazy about it, but I do think it's fine enough. They play Sink into Stupor as a land, Springleaf Drum, and they pass. We'll just play Steam Vents. Pass the turn. Memnite. Ornithopter. Ornithopter. So they play like this because they want to avoid that Meltdown that I talked about. Sure. So they have like Metallic Rebuke open or something along those lines. I'll just play the Steam Vents. Pass. They'll chip in for 1 damage. Sure. Another Ornithopter. Interesting that they're not holding that in case they draw something else. I guess they wanted it for Metalcraft. Or not Metalcraft, Affinity. So they drew 2. They have 2 cards left in their hand after they play a land. We draw Spell Pierce. I think I'll just pass the turn. The second Flusterstorm was not particularly good, but we'll see what happens. Now they swing for 3. They have land number 3. I think we'll just go to my turn. I thought about cycling the Manamorphose, but if I find a cost reducer, I want it to make mana. And now we'll pass. They attack for 3 again. I'll go to 13. Should I cycle now? Because if I don't find something good, I'll have to do it on my main phase. I think now I'll burn the Manamorphose. We'll make blue-red. Oh, I would have drawn the reducer. Bummer. Okay, that was decent. But now I wish I had another land. So I could go Desperate Ritual, tap an island, play Brawl, but that's not actually that great. I don't have double interaction piece here. It's crazy, but I'm considering playing the Wish just to consider looking for a land. Like, playing the Manamorphose actually really hurt me, because if I had it, this would be a go turn. I think I'm just going to play the Wish here. Play Metallic Rebuke. Sure. We will pass. 3 mana. Pinnacle Emissary, that's fine. 2 cards remain. Tormod's Crypt. I'm going to Spell Pierce this one. They have one card left in their hand. The Torment's Crypt was counterspelled. Now they swing for 3. I'm at 10. And it looks like this is a turn for us to try to do something. And I drew a Manamorphose. That was pretty solid. We're all Chief of Compliance. We might get to do something really cool here, which doesn't come up very often, but it requires our opponent to have interaction. So if they try to like kill my Baral here or counterspell this Desperate Ritual, we can Desperate Ritual Manamorphose, Flusterstorm on their spell, and then point the copies of Flusterstorm at each other in order to trigger the Baral over and over again. So that way we can loot through our deck. Manamorphose. We'll do blue, blue. Play a Consider. Get rid of the island. Drew a land anyway. We'll fetch. We'll grab the basic. And let's play Past in Flames. That resolves. Desperate Ritual. Desperate Ritual. And now we'll play Manamorphose. Storm 9. We'll make 2 blue mana. Play another Manamorphose. We'll do blue-red this time. Let's cast Consider. Keep the stock up. And let's play the stock up. So I'm holding on the wish because if I find like a rail Monsoon Mage here, it would cost 1 less if I choose to play it. We'll take Pyretic Ritual and Past in Flames. Play the Pyretic Ritual. And now we can play the wish. They're at 15, so Grape Shot here is lethal. Target you. So their last card in hand might be Consigned to Memory, and then I could show you the Flusterstorm trick, and it looks like it is. Oh no, I didn't see this coming. Okay, so we've pointed 1 Flusterstorm at the consign. Now what you do is you target each other. You target your own Flusterstorm, so you just like go up the chain. And now you're countering your own spells, and this will trigger the Baral Chief of Compliance over and over again, allowing you to just loot through your whole deck. Not your whole deck, but like, obviously, from here is 16, so you'll get to loot 8 times, I believe. So we'll say no, and now a spell is countered, and the Baral will trigger. So now you could just discard here, and we'll get to trigger again. So this is sort of a waste of time, but I just want to show you how it works. So I'll say no, yes, and you just get to fill up your graveyard and sculpt your hand. Discard the Past in Flames, I guess. And now we'll discard Otawara Soaring City. We draw and discard Consider. Only a few of these left. I'm glad I don't have to do too many more of these. Discard the Gifts Ungiven. We don't need that anymore. And now we'll discard Misty Reinforce. And the original Flusterstorm will counter the Consigned to Memory. And then Grape Shot resolves, killing the opponent. And the Consigned to Memory has been countered. We can now draw and discard. I will get rid of Flusterstorm because they have no hand. Target you. Click, click, boom. And that's the match. So we are now 2-1 with 2 matches left to go. The Gold Sabertooth times the Epic Storm collection has arrived with 3 full-size tokens showcasing the beloved Dark Ritual, CDH Rogsai, and Legacy of the Epic Storm for just $5. On the backs of these tokens, there's a place for my signature or a custom message. In addition to these sweet tokens, a friendly reminder that all orders that ship from theepicstorm.com also come with a signed Storm token from yours truly. The 4th match, we're on the play. Let's see if we can get another victory here. 4 lands, one of them is a Sink and a Stupor. Like, this hand's a little bit of a clunker, but I like the ability to draw cards and disrupt the opponent if we need to. Okay, this is not a hand I would keep versus Domain Zoo. We're in trouble. Misty Rainforest and pass. The one upside of this hand, in my opinion, is that against Domain Zoo, obviously they have the Tromon Ragavan, is I do like a lot of lands because a lot of lands helps you beat their disruption. But I would have preferred a faster hand here. Get rid of the Otawara Soaring City. Rail was a good draw. The issue is that they have Lightning Bolts, they have Tribal Flames, Leyline Binding. It's not likely to live if I play it this turn. We'll play Steam Vents tapped. Pass the turn. Ideally, in a perfect world, our opponent would attack, miss their land drop, and play a 2-drop, and then I can try to do something meaningful on my turn. They exile Spell Pierce. That's a sign of Draco. No land? No land? A tap land is just as good. Okay. Here's our window. We'll play the basic island. I have to get a little lucky here. Rail Monsoon Mage. We'll play Manamorphose. Trigger. We'll say Tails. Red, red. Manamorphose. Tails. No. Blue, red. And now we stock up digging for mana. Tails. No. Okay, so Ritual Wish into a free spell could flip the rail, but I'd have to... It's a 50-50 on flipping rail here. So we're 50-50 to potentially win this game. Desperate Ritual. Fate Tails. Wish. And I've played the rail this turn, so even if I win this one, even though our storm count is 6, I do not want to flip here. I lose anyway. So we could Surgical Extraction, or we could Mind Collapse. I can't target their creatures because of the Leyline Binding Scion of Draco combo. But so I think it's better to Surgical Extraction myself and remove like Misty Rainforest from my deck. I'll go to 12. Or I could Grape Shot for, you know, whatever, but I think keeping the red mana floating is better. Okay, moment of truth. 50-50. We'll say Tails. We win the flip. Let's go. Now we'll exile Misty Rainforest. Also improves our Rail ultimate ability here. Exile the one in the graveyard, I guess. And ultimate the Rail. 1 red mana floating. Okay. We'll play Sink into Stupor, bouncing the Leyline of the Guild Pact. And then consider. Get rid of the land. Desperate Ritual. Okay. I guess we'll play this Desperate Ritual from exile. Gifts Ungiven target you. Desperate Ritual. Manamorphose. Pyretic Ritual. And Past in Flames. They gave me the rituals, so we'll play Pyretic Ritual. Splice a Desperate Ritual. And we'll play another Desperate Ritual here. Storm 14. Flashback to Past in Flames. Storm 15. Pyretic Ritual. Manamorphose. Blue, red. Play the Brawl Chief of Compliance from my hand. Desperate Ritual. And now we just make a bunch of mana because we have a reducer again. Play the Wish. Storm 23. And Grape Shot. Target you. Wow. I feel like I got away with one here. Okay. Sweet. This matchup, post-board, they have a lot of disruption. Like, they have a lot main deck. We kind of got lucky here. But post-board, they also... I've seen High Noon, Damping Sphere, Consigned to Memory. There's a bunch of things that they have. So it's very, very difficult. We likely want the Flusterstorms. I'm interested in some number of Into the Flood Maws. I think Consider just has to go. You don't have the luxury of cantripping. Like, you just need a lot of answers in your deck. So that's my opinion. I feel bad boarding out the VV all the time, but I just like... It is the worst card in the main deck, in my opinion. So that's the card that needs to go here. And now you're at 61. Maybe you leave, like, 1 Into the Flood Maw on the sideboard? We'll try this. Like, we're a Wish deck, so leaving the Into the Flood Maw on the sideboard is not the worst thing you could do. This seems fine to me. We'll keep. Bloated Foothills. They fetch. They're on 6 cards. Steam Vents into Ragavan. Yep. We'll play the Island. Pass. So we could try to Into the Flood Maw the Ragavan here to keep them off mana. They did mulligan. It would feel bad if they end up having like a lock piece. But I think I'm supposed to try to keep them off their toes here. They play Wooded Foothills. And if I could draw a fetch land, we could kill the Ragavan, which would be nice. We did not. They will just pass again. I could play the Brawl Chief of Compliance as a blocker, but what are the odds that they don't have any sort of removal? We will once again attempt to bounce the Ragavan. They play Wooded Foothills, Scion of Draco, and they're going to leave open that mana. Alright, I feel pressure to just play the Brawl here. The Chief of Compliance has entered the battlefield. They fetch with the Wooded Foothills for a Steam Vents and a Lightning Bolt. Yep. Our opponent attacked. I go down to 16. Now they play a Territorial Kavu, still holding open the Steam Vents. No red mana. Okay, this game was a little awkward. We'll just pick it up. I think I'm just going to resubmit. The deck list was fine. The configuration, it's just I didn't draw that well. Game 3 on the play. I guess we keep this. I don't love it. But I do think that having lands in order to play around creature removal and counter spells is good. So we'll play the Misty Rainforest. They kept 7 without a Leyline of the Guild Pact. So it probably either has a hate piece or a lot of interaction. Steam Vents. No Ragavan. I like that. End step will fetch. Grab the Thundering Falls. And I'll keep the Flame of Anor. That's a card I'm definitely interested in. Play the Misty Rainforest and we'll pass. They play Wooded Foothills, so they must have a lot of disruption if they're keeping this. No creature on turn 1 or 2. Thundering Falls. Keep the Rail Monsoon Mage. Display Steam Vents here. And I don't want to cycle the Flame of Anor yet. I mean, I could. It's just if they play a Damping Sphere, I'm going to want access to that card. So that's my thought here. They have land number 3. Speaking of Damping Sphere. So they might have been waiting to play or hold it until they could protect it. We'll play the island. Pass the turn. Now they fetch. We'll let the Surveil resolve, and then we'll destroy the Damping Sphere with the Flame of Anor. Goodbye, Damping Sphere. Okay. Land number 4 for them. 6 cards in hand. Territorial Kavu. Sink in a Stupor. I think we'll play out a Brawl here just to eat a piece of removal. A Mystical Dispute. I think we'll let this go. And now they swing. Ouch. They discard Wooded Foothills. I go to 13. Land number 5, which is an Arena of Glory, which is pretty scary. But it could be dead next turn. Okay. They have 3 cards in their hand. So the question is, am I supposed to play the Sink in a Stupor as a land here? My fear is, if I go Rail, Heretic Ritual, they have a 1-mana removal spell. Spell Pierce taps them out, but it doesn't actually answer it. Why I'm hesitant to play the Sink in a Stupor as a land is I only have 4 spells, so this Manamorphose has to spike like a Stock Up or a Gifts Ungiven. But I think you're supposed to play it. I go to 10. Play the Rail Monsoon Mage. I have to draw like a Stock Up or a Gifts here. Heretic Ritual. Trigger. Tails. No. Heretic Ritual. And now we'll attempt a Manamorphose. Tails. No. Manamorphose. I guess I would also take a Past in Flames or a Wish, which means I think there's 11 hits that I can think of. We'll make red-blue. Another Spell Pierce was not it. So I guess if they choose to try to interact with this Into the Floodmaw, I could still flip. We'll say Tails. No. And unfortunately, I have to pass. They have a Flage. That's going to kill me here. Yep. Okay. So we lost. I mean, this deck has a lot of disruption, but I think what really lost us is that I didn't draw any payoffs this game. What was our next card if it lets me? No, it's not going to. Okay, so we didn't find a payoff. That was really what I think cost us this match. We're 2-2. Let's keep our head up and try to win match number 5. If you're still watching, make sure to give this video a like, comment, and subscribe. While you're near the description, here's a reminder to use our affiliate links if you're going to make a purchase from Amazon, Card Hoarder, or TCG Player. Just above those affiliate links, you'll find our social channels. Make sure to join those to connect with us. The final match, match number 5, we're on the play. Sure, we'll keep. We'll begin with a Thundering Falls, get rid of Steam Vents, and pass the turn. Eldrazi Temple, okay. Manamorphose, not a bad draw. We'll just play one of our 2 copies of Rail Monsoon Mage and pass the turn. Urza's Saga, okay. 3 mana here. Is this a Glaring Fleshraker? It is. Okay, we have an opportunity here. That was not a good draw, though. We need more spells, so I think we'll Surveil here off of a Thundering Falls. Trigger. It's a spell, but not a spell that we want, so I think I'm going to put it to the graveyard. We'll Manamorphose. We're really looking for like a Stock Up, a Gifts Ungiven, Past in Flames, Wish. We'll say Tails, no. Red, blue. Manamorphose, Tails, blue, red. And unfortunately, we have to pass. We did not draw a payoff. Urza's Saga now goes to the 2nd chapter. Cavern of Souls. So you might be asking, why did I try to cycle into the win there? Well, if they play a Thought-Knot Seer here, what am I, like, you're just stuck in a really bad spot. And they did have the Thought-Knot Seer, so by cycling the Manamorphose, I give myself a chance to draw into the win. Where if I just pass, I'm stuck in an awkward position of like, oh, well now I have to cycle at instant speed, and what if I actually do hit Stock Up or Wish, or Past in Flames, and it reduces my odds of actually winning the game. They take my 2nd copy of Rail Monsoon Mage, and then they play Vexing Bauble, which will shut off the back the ultimate ability. Okay, well that's actually not very good for me. Okay, we draw another ritual. Unfortunately, we just have to play a land and pass. Our opponent made a construct token and dealt me 1 damage, and now they're going to search their library and they pick up a Soul Guide Lantern. So now Past in Flames isn't even a good draw, and they have the Rail Ultimate shut down with the Vexing Bauble. We're in a bad spot. So my best draw just became like Flame of Anor. We'll block the Glaring Fleshraker, take 4 down to 8. They play Urza's Saga. And now we draw the Past in Flames after they have the Soul Guide Lantern. Ah, brutal. I mean, I could just make them pop the Past in Flames here, I suppose. Or pop the Soul Guide Lantern. Play Past in Flames. And they do use the Soul Guide Lantern. Say Tails. We win the flip. I could kill the Glaring Fleshraker here, but I'm probably dead. Because next turn they can do 7 if I flip, so I'd be at 1. I think you're actually supposed to flip it here, because I can't afford to block either of these anyway. And then we'll kill the Glaring Fleshraker. Pass the turn. So currently they're 1 point short of killing me if they make another construct. Grove of the Burn Willows. This attack would put me to 2, assuming they leave me with the rail, and they don't, so I'm at 4. Okay. Wish. So there's a chance. Can we do it? Heretic Ritual. Heretic Ritual. We'll splice a Desperate Ritual. Play Desperate Ritual from hand. And now we flashback Past in Flames. Firms 5. If this is Kozilek's Command, we do lose. Maybe I should have thought that through a little bit more. I suppose I could have emptied the warrants for 12. But I don't know if 12 even wins this when we're at 4 life. Actually, they could Kozilek's Command for 4. They could hit all 4 of my rituals. Well, they let it go. Heretic Ritual. Heretic Ritual. Desperate Ritual. Desperate Ritual. And then we can empty the warrants for 22. Alright, 22 goblins. Looks like now they're going to Kozilek's Command, even though I think they messed up if this actually is a Kozilek's Command. Maybe they thought they could get me with something else. I'm not quite sure. Yeah, it is. They could have exiled my graveyard and chose not to. Alright, it looks like our Empty the Warrens will finally resolve. 22 goblins. They grab a Blade of the Blood Chief. Okay. So that means they might have the Broodscale combo in their deck. And there it is. Okay, so they have an infinite power creature. Sure. And they have the Glaring Fleshraker, so now they have infinite damage. We can pick this one up. Okay. We did not get that game. So I think here you could probably take out the Spell Pierces and just bring in Flood Maws. Maybe get rid of the VV. No, let's keep the VV and get rid of a Consider. We'll try this. Game 2 on the play. Nope, can't keep. I do think we can keep this one. Get rid of the Otawara Soaring City. Play Thundering Falls, trigger. Get rid of the Brawl Chief of Compliance. We don't need 2 of those. Urza's Saga. Stock up. Good draw. We'll play the Brawl Chief of Compliance first, because if they have a Dismember, I'd rather this die than the Rail Monsoon Mage. Urza's Saga goes to the second chapter. They play a Forest. And a Malevolent Rumble. Claudnot Seer, Devour Eldrazi Temple. They take the Eldrazi Temple. They still could be holding open Dismember. We'll play the Island. Desperate Ritual. We'll play Rail Monsoon Mage. This means that the stock up is only 1 mana, and we'll cast it. Play Tails, no flip. We'll take double Manamorphose. Play a Manamorphose. Third instant or sorcery for the turn. No. Interesting thing about this position we're in right now is I have a blue permanent in play, so the back half of Rail Monsoon Mage could actually draw a card. We'll make red, red. Play Consider. The 4th instant or sorcery for the turn. Say Tails. Consider. Get rid of the VV or Nidier. We don't need that here. Manamorphose is number 5. Say Tails. I think we'll make 2 blue here, because most red cards make more red mana like that. Play the Desperate Ritual. This could transform the Rail Monsoon Mage into the Planeswalker half, so that we could ultimate. We'll say Tails. And it does. Desperate Ritual. Let's ultimate. with 5 mana floating. Storm is 7. This should get the job done. We'll play Desperate Ritual for free. Play Wish for free. Storm 9. Manamorphose for free. Make 2 blue. That's just double Grape Shot. So we can play Grape Shot from the sideboard, Grape Shot from hand, and they concede. Okay. I am good to just run it back. The final game, we will keep Grove of the Burned Willows and a Haywire Mite. There's not a single target for that in my deck. We'll play Scalding Tarn and pass. Eldrazi Temple. Now they swing. Ouch. 3 mana here for Glaring Fleshraker. Sure. We will fetch, grab the Thundering Falls, and Surveil. Get rid of the second copy of Rail Monsoon Mage. And it's interesting, so you could play Baral here. I think it's... Ooh, that actually changes things. So now I think you're supposed to play the Baral. Because my concern previously was, if I play Rail Monsoon Mage, I don't have a second red mana to get started if I needed to play it and win the same turn. Drawing Misty Rainforest changed that equation. So I will now play the Brawl Chief of Compliance first. Generally, I do think if you expect your opponent to have removal, you should play the worst one first. They play an Ugin's Labyrinth. No imprint. This looks like a Kozilek's Command. Thought-Knot-Seer. Okay. Probably takes the Flame of Anor if I had to guess. And they do take the Flame of Anor. They sacrifice an Eldrazi Spawn to play Blade of the Blood Chief, and then they get another. I lose a life, I'm down to 15. They have 2 cards in their hand. We draw and it's Consider. Okay, that's not terrible. Surgical Extraction on my Rail Monsoon Mage. They just ups the Storm count for this Grape Shot. I love it. Thank you. Storm is currently 1. I need to kill the Glaring Fleshraker because I am dead to the Basking Broodscale. We'll play Consider. Get rid of Misty Rainforest. Into the Floodmaw. Okay. We'll play the Misty Rainforest. And then Grape Shot for Storm 3. So I can kill the Glaring Fleshraker and the Eldrazi Spawn. So this means that they would need 2 things in order to win. They would need the Basking Broodscale and the mana to evolve it. And now we'll pass the turn. They play Urza Saga. They equip the Thought-Knot-Seer. I'll take it. I go to 11. And step will fetch. I go to 10. We'll grab the other copy of Thundering Falls. Don't want a Scalding Tarn. That can go to the graveyard. Stock up. Good draw. I think I'd like to keep my colors open, so I'm going to play the Otawara as a land. And then play the stock up. You could just only have 1 Thundering Falls open. I'm just a little concerned about what that means. Alright, so we hit Pyretic Ritual Gifts Ungiven, so I could play Gifts with 1 mana floating. I could also just take the stock up and Gifts and then try to win next turn. I think it's just Pyretic Ritual Gifts Ungiven. You don't actually need the stock up, and if you want to play stock up, you actually have to take down your shield of Into the Floodmaw. So I think it's better to just hold open, pass the turn. Urza Saga goes to the 3rd chapter. I'm sorry, 2nd chapter. They find Malevolent Rumble. Sure. Emrakul the Promise End, Kozilek's Command, Glaring Fleshraker. So they have instant, creature, land, enchantment. Kindred, that's 5. So not enough for Emrakul the Promise End, I believe. Our opponent tanked for a while in that Rumble, then eventually took the Emrakul the Promise End. They attack with the Thought-Knot-Seer. I'm just going to take it. Sure. I'm at 7. They play Nugin's Labyrinth. So that gives them 5 mana here. That's still not enough. Oh, I wasn't counting sorcery from the Rumble. Okay. We'll bounce the Thought-Knot-Seer on the end step. So I know their hand is Emrakul Thought-Knot-Seer. This should be a pretty easy win. We draw another land. Play the Scalding Tarn. Fetch. I'm at 6. Grab an island. Pyretic Ritual. Desperate Ritual. And Gifts Ungiven targeting you. Fast in Flames. Manamorphose. We'll do stock up. And Pyretic Ritual, I guess. It doesn't really matter which one. Taking Pyretic Ritual is technically slightly better if you stock up into a Desperate Ritual, because then you could Desperate Ritual from the graveyard, splicing your one from hand. But it's like these thin margins that rarely matter, especially in a situation like this where I think this just means you win no matter what. Even if our opponent had a Kozilek's Command in their hand, I'd have Sink and a Stupor to return it. So they'd have to like Kozilek's Command for like 1 or 2, which I don't think I'd care about. They gave me Past in Flames and Pyretic Ritual, so let's just cast our graveyard. Here we go. Pyretic Ritual, Vesper Ritual, Pyretic Ritual. We'll stock up. I'm just trying to do this as fast as I can because it does not matter. We'll take Flame of Anor and VV. This way, somebody can't say that I didn't play VV this league because I'm playing it now that it doesn't matter. We'll play another stock up, trigger the VV, take, I don't know, Consider into the Floodmaw, and they can see the match. All right, so we went 3-2. What did I think of the deck list? It was fine. We lost to Esper Goyro's Vengeance, which is a really tough matchup because that deck is so dense with interaction. And then we lost to Domain Zoo, which is just a combo killer. 2 tough matchups. We went 3-2. I'm not terribly surprised with our record. That said, I did feel the lack of action a little bit. In my honest opinion, and I'm always going to be honest with you, and it's just who I am, but I also want you to make the best decisions you can. This deck is really sweet for a league. If I was playing in an RCQ, I'd be playing that Heroes Hangout Ruby Storm video that I went 5-0 with, that deck list. So this one's really fun for like an FNM or a league. But when the money's on the line, I'd be playing that Heroes Hangout Ruby Storm deck list. So Blake Anderson, thank you for the donation deck. I hope you enjoyed the updated deck list. Sorry if I just rained on your parade a little bit about the Ruby Storm versus Gift Storm thing. But it's sweet. I mean, it's a lot of fun. If you're looking for a good time, this deck is that. But I really, really like the Heroes Hangout Ruby Storm deck that I uploaded. So if you're interested, go watch that video. Thank you, thank you, thank you. And I hope you have a wonderful day. Keep storming. Hey you, yeah you, make sure to leave a like, comment, subscribe. I would greatly appreciate it. And if you're interested, you can visit theepicstorm.com/donation decks to see your combo deck here on this very YouTube channel. You can even join me in a video in the Epic tier. It's totally worth it, I promise. And see ya. Thanks for watching.